I was not expecting to make a video today. I was just out for a little spin watching the Tour de France, and my original plan was just to ride the same route as the race while I watched the tour on my other screen where I normally run my recording software, and I realized I could see the riders. So this group coming up on me is the second or third group on the road. This is kind of the gruppetto of the virtual Tour de France. So I was riding and I was watching the race and noticing over here on the right that as I'm riding around, I can see the time gap to the pro riders on the course. So this world is not like open for free riding yet. I did sort of hack, I guess for lack of a better term, my way in here. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do that, but if you Google find and replace Zwift worlds, that'll probably do it. I will say you got to be on a PC for the method that I use to work, but it allows you to get in here and you're on online mode. So I'm riding on the route for today's race. I'm watching the race on my screen. I'm noticing the time gap to the peloton coming up behind me and realize that maybe I'll be able to see them. So they can't see me to the best of my knowledge. I couldn't see myself on the broadcast, thankfully. I will say if the peloton had been bearing down on me and Matt Stevens is noticing me off the front, I would have pulled over to the side respectfully like you do when you should get pulled from a crit. I think because this world is not open yet, they just didn't take the time to hide the Tour de France riders from other people in the world. They did hide me from the Tour de France group, but not the other way around. So the first group came over the top of me and I was not prepared at all, but obviously I wanted to record that and I wanted to jump in and ride with them for a minute. So I did, and it looked like this because I was not ready. I was totally caught out. Bad camera angle, bad green screen. Still had the YouTube broadcast on.
Rider making the most of that. He's 34 years of age now and ridden 5.
So that's a little bit of the audio from that. But I sat in this group for a while. Everything got all laggy and choppy, and I noticed another group, one back, that had Michael Matthews, Taco Vanderhorn, a few people I would want to ride with in it. And honestly, I was out for what should have been like a pretty aerobic, not easy, but, steady day. I really just wanted to tick off this route badge while I watched the race. And, obviously riding the race became a little bit more interesting, but I didn't necessarily want to try and ride with that front group for much longer, especially with like the 10 frames per second I was getting. So I dropped out of there, adjusted my settings, got the green screen looking right, lined the camera up. And while I was doing that, this second group, the sort of gruppetto group, caught up to me, got in with them, and flipped on the camera to record. And while I was doing that, I did notice some additional, hacks, secrets, Easter eggs, Tour de France goodies. And I'll walk through all those here in a second. This is not really a secret, just a funny thing I wanted to throw in. We're coming over the top of the aqueduct KOM. Obviously, we just went through the KOM arch, and you can tell why all these guys are in this group because we're not rolling that hard, and everyone is just hitting their power-ups for no reason other than they just got a power-up, so they saw the button, and they're pushing it. I think Bling Matthews might be a little confused using the burrito right there. Maybe this is the point of the race where he would have eaten an actual burrito, but this is not the time to use the burrito power-up, especially since he didn't attack or anything. But I think that shows why these guys are back here in the gruppetto with me. I think this is the group of dudes who maybe thought, I'm a professional rider, I know how to ride, I don't need to worry about the Zwift platform or whatever. And these guys got tailed off pretty quick. We got Esteban Chavez in here, which honestly I think Chavez's presence in general just shows how not seriously that they are taking the virtual Tour de France. This is the flattest stage so far, so why you would put one of the best climbing talents going right now, I don't know why you would use them in this stage. So if you've really got an eagle eye, you can probably pick out some of the Easter eggs here, but I'll screenshot them and then flip through right here so you can see. Mostly gear-related stuff, but interesting. There's a lot of stuff being used here that's not in the drop shop. First of all, we got Vital Concept here on the KTM bikes, which is super interesting. No KTM stuff in the in the drop shop. It also looks like this rider has on some like Veloto's Aero booties, which all of these guys are in custom kit, but that's not even an option most of the time in the kit, so that's interesting. I'll also add this kit, looks great. Next up, FDJ. It's hard to see, but they're on these Lamprey bikes, which again, a brand that's not in the drop shop at all. So I thought that one was interesting. And then after looking at both of those, I was trying to figure out who has sponsors that are not on Zwift. I thought this one was funny. Cofidis is in here, but they could not get the DeRosa deal done, so they're just on the standard Zwift bike. I did hear in the commentary somewhere that they did for the Tour de France make the virtual like weight and CDA the same for all these bikes, so even the guys who are on custom bikes, everything's evened out. But they did program all these bikes in here, and in the women's race I noticed some Orbeas, and it's not like they're just slapping a skin on a standard bike. It does look like they're actually making each of these bikes with their own like proprietary geometry and stuff, and I would imagine that the weight and CDA are just values that they're plugging into a spreadsheet somewhere. So I don't wonder if we're not going to be seeing some of these in the drop shop before too long. Just to make sure I wasn't crazy, I did get in there and double check and make sure that those brands were not in the drop shop, and I was correct, they are not. Another interesting one is that Lotto Yumbo is not on a custom bike. They're actually on the Zwift Aero bike here, and I think that's probably because they're switching sponsors. I know they're leaving Bianchi next year, so they're probably in some sort of negotiations right now, and I would imagine they weren't too concerned about getting Bianchi's rendered in here, and then maybe they don't know who they're going to, or maybe they do, but they can't legally ride them because the contract with Bianchi hasn't ended yet. I'm not sure exactly where we're at because we haven't been seeing them race outside, so I don't actually know what they're riding on right now. But I do know they're in the middle of a change, and one of the Alpecin Phoenix riders just gave us all a wave there. That's nice. I wonder if he's just scrolling through the buttons and seeing what they all do, because it does seem like these are the guys who don't like fully know what to do with Zwift. So this next little bit is just a fun thing to do while the tour is on, but it's cool to follow pros on Zwift, because then you can choose to get alerted when they're riding or see what stuff they're doing coming up, and you can also give them ride-ons while you're watching the tour, which is fun to do. So the first couple of stages I would go through, and anyone that I liked, I would go ahead and follow them. And then, you know, like when Mike Woods was attacking on stage 2, I guess that was, I could give him a ride-on and then watch it pop up on the broadcast, which was cool. So a good way to do that, and I mean, you can go through and search everyone's individual names and then look for these little, if you look at all the names on the right, they have the little pro jersey next to them, and that's sort of like the Twitter verified badge for pros on Zwift. It's, you know, this is the real guy. It's not some sort of copycat profile or something like that. But rather than have to search all these people individually to find each of their profiles and search through all the, you know, people with similar names or people who have made those like unverified profiles or whatever, a quick way to add a bunch of the verified pros easily is to get on your companion app, go to events, find the next time the Tour de France, one of these races is happening, click on that, then click on the A group. I don't know why there's another group listed here. It might just be like all the stuff they're using for the broadcast. Who knows? It could be dummy accounts for some of these guys who maybe have not already set up a Zwift account, and they're going to get those guys set up. But then you click on that, and this, for the men's race and the women's race, there's an event for each, so you can do this both times. And that's going to give you a list of all the riders that are on the start list. The closer you do this to the time of the actual start, the more of them are already going to be in here with their profiles loaded up. And you can click through and see, first of all, you can see who's ridden on Zwift a lot. So if you're trying to predict a stage, probably someone who's a higher level on Zwift is going to be better at racing on Zwift. And that'll also give you a good gauge of who to follow, maybe, because part of what I want to do is follow these guys and then maybe drop into some of the community races they do or rides or whatever, so it'll be easier to know what to sign up for if I want to ride with them, and also make it easier for me to give them ride-ons, do fan views, all that kind of stuff. I think I just took a screenshot there. So one guy who's definitely a good follow is Lawson Craddock. I've actually raced with him on here already. Famously finished the Tour de France with a broken shoulder a couple of years ago, raised a bunch of money for his local velodrome in Texas, and he's been doing the Driveway Crit series, which has moved on to Zwift during the whole COVID pandemic situation. And I actually have raced with him before, but I didn't follow him until now. Here's his profile, and great profile pic, clearly ridden on Zwift a lot, definitely a good follow. But yeah, I'll throw a link at the end to the race I did with Lawson Craddock and Nate Brown, I think someone else from Rally. But yeah, it's really fun to get in those community races when there are World Tour riders in them. So this makes it easy to do that, makes it easy to give them some ride-ons, and that's always fun. It looks like we're kind of coming into not the very end here. Oh, and I've switched to the first-person view. I don't normally ride around in first-person view, but I don't know, something about being in this group of Tour de France dudes and going to the first-person camera. It's just cool. Just felt like something fun to do. So it kind of looks like the GoPro footage you see from like Velon or something. So I just figured it would be fun. Things did kind of heat up as we were coming into the end here, but I think these guys are probably all in like the 30s, 40s. There's not a super hot competition going on here. I'm skipping ahead to this last little bit just to show I did stay with these guys all the way. I didn't get in with them until their second lap, and I am kind of just hanging out, but this was cool to do. Oh, we got Tim Merlier in here, cyclocross guy. That's cool. Love the Alpecin Phoenix team because it's cool to see all the cyclocross guys, Philip Walsleben, a lot of those guys who are in the like sort of 10th to 15th area of like World Cup cyclocross, see how they stack up against all these World Tour pros. So the sprint kind of hotted up there, and me and Esteban Chavez, the climbers, we decided to just chill out, just keep it easy across the line, and completed the route. I did, once I was through here, did a little bit of cool down here with Bling Matthews and Taco Vanderhorn, and I think I typed out a message saying good ride, because once they come through that arch and finish, they can actually see my messages in the chat. Before this, it was probably hiding any chat messages from them, but now we're actually all in this same world, so they're seeing me riding around with them, and I can type something out here, and they'll actually be able to see it. And all of these guys who are finishing, who are just kind of hanging out, I'm actually, like, they can see me and I can see them. So yeah, I said, good ride, boys. So here's a link to that video where I raced with Lawson Craddock and a little subscribe button. See y'all next time.